In the fading glow of the evening, the forest stands as a cathedral of murmurs, its canopy holding the last threads of sunlight in a muted lattice of gold and green. The air is cool, brushed with the scent of damp moss and the faint sweetness of wild violets hidden among the roots. Somewhere deeper within, a brook moves with the quiet persistence of centuries, its waters carrying the sky's reflection through corridors of fern and stone. Fallen leaves soften each step, and the distant call of an owl drifts like a slow bell through the undergrowth. Ahead, the silhouette of weather-worn stone begins to emerge, cloaked in ivy and softened by age. Once walls, now softened outlines, their purpose forgotten, yet their presence eternal. Lichen patterns bloom like faded tapestries, and narrow archways frame nothing but the fading mist. Here, time itself seems to pause, as though the ruins and the forest have reached a silent accord. The quiet hum of insects forms a steady backdrop, a reminder that life continues its slow weaving even among forgotten places. You pause, allowing your breath to match the steady rhythm of the forest, feeling the pull of history underfoot. The ruins are neither lonely nor abandoned. They are companions to the trees, their stories whispered into bark and stone, waiting for patient ears. As the light thins to a soft violet haze, shadows lengthen, and the forest folds gently around the remains, like hands cradling a relic. Somewhere between the rustle of leaves and the sigh of wind, you feel the first deep pull of night, inviting you to step further inward, into the heart of both forest and memory. Twilight gathers with a patient hand, drawing its cool colors across the sky until the forest glows with a tender, dimmed light. The trunks of ancient oaks rise like pillars, their bark traced with fine ridges that catch the low light in quiet detail. Every step stirs the scent of the earth, rich, deep, and touched with the faint tang of wood smoke drifting from some unseen hearth far beyond the trees. Between the roots, soft grasses bow under the hush of evening air. Ahead, a shape begins to form, not of tree nor rock, but of stone molded by hands long gone. Weathered arches lean toward one another like weary friends, and fractured columns lie cushioned in moss. A single carved lintel rests above a doorway that no longer leads inside, etched with patterns nearly erased by the slow touch of wind and rain. The air here is cooler, the shadows deeper, yet there is no unease, only a sense of returning to a place that has been waiting. Somewhere in the branches above, a breeze stirs, sending a slow shiver through the leaves, their movement like the soft turning of a page. You rest your hand against the warm roughness of stone, feeling its quiet strength, and imagine the hands that once shaped it. The fading sky presses soft lavender into the clearing, the forest's edges blurring into the deepening dark. As the first stars make themselves known, you sense the invitation, not to uncover or disturb, but simply to witness, to stay as the night deepens, listening as the forest and ruins breathe together in steady, unhurried harmony. The day's final light filters through a veil of leaves, scattering gentle, fractured beams across the forest floor. The air is still, carrying the scent of crushed pine needles and the cool breath of stone that has known many winters. In the distance, the call of a wood dove echoes, a mellow note that seems to hang in the air longer than sound should. As the path narrows, brambles part to reveal an ancient courtyard, its stones uneven yet dignified, softened by moss and wild thyme. Once this space may have been filled with voices and the warmth of human work. Now it is a garden of shadows and silvered air. Ferns grow between flagstones, their fronds swaying gently though no wind touches them. The remnants of a wall curve away into the trees, ending in a crumbled tower where ivy spills like a green waterfall. You pause at its base, brushing your fingers over the delicate cracks where tiny white flowers have made a home. The forest beyond seems to lean closer, its branches arching as if to shelter the stones from time itself. Somewhere in this stillness there is a sense of patience, a long breath taken by the earth, unbroken for centuries. A single shaft of light falls through the canopy, illuminating a worn stone bench, smooth from countless seasons of rain. You sit, feeling the coolness seep into your palms, and listen to the layered hush, the low hum of insects, the sigh of leaves settling, and the nearly imperceptible sound of your own heartbeat slowing. The forest deepens into twilight, and the ruins, framed in their quiet dignity, seem to nod in recognition, as though you too have become part of their long vigil.
The sky, awash in the final colors of day, lets fall a slow drizzle of light that pools in the hollows of the forest. The scent of damp leaves hangs in the air, mingled with the faint sweetness of late-blooming honeysuckle winding along the low stone walls. Every step you take sinks into the soft tapestry of moss and earth, the sound nearly lost in the gentle rustle of the canopy. You notice the forest seems to speak in murmurs, its language one of shifting branches, faint bird calls, and the soft sigh of wind threading through pine and ash. Then the clearing opens before you, revealing the ruins, their once proud angles softened to curves by time's hand. The stones are a palette of muted grays and browns, with patches of golden lichen glowing faintly in the dim light. A half-collapsed archway frames a view of the forest beyond, like a window into an even older dream. You step through, feeling the slight change in air, cooler and touched with the scent of stone after rain. Within, nature has claimed the space, roots twisting through the cracks, tiny mushrooms clustered like miniature lanterns at the base of fallen beams. The atmosphere is thick with a quiet reverence, as though this place remembers each season it has endured. The sun dips lower, and the forest takes on a violet hue, shadows deepening around the base of each stone. In that fading light, you sense the ruins are not simply remnants, but keepers, holding the stories of those who once stood here, waiting to pass them on to anyone willing to listen with more than ears.
Evening comes like a slow tide, its colors spilling gently through the high branches until the whole forest glows in muted amber and silver. The path ahead curves in quiet invitation, bordered by low ferns whose fronds brush your ankles with every step. The air is layered with scents, the warm resin of pine, the faint spice of crushed herbs underfoot, the mineral coolness of unseen water trickling nearby. A soft breeze stirs, carrying with it the dry whisper of leaves and the occasional creak of an old branch settling into night. Soon the trees part to reveal the ruins, a cluster of stones arranged like the bones of a sleeping giant, their forms softened under years of moss and shadow. A single tower fragment rises from the tangle, crowned with a cap of grass and wildflowers nodding in the dim light. The air here feels stiller, as though the forest itself leans in to listen. You trace a line along the stone, feeling its quiet strength, its memory of countless dawns and dusks. The sky above deepens into a soft indigo, and the first fireflies begin their slow, glowing drift around the clearing. Their light moves lazily, as if in rhythm with the earth's own heartbeat. In the far corner, a stone basin catches the last silver of daylight, its surface rippling with the soft breath of evening wind. Here, time is unmeasured, the ruins and the forest existing in perfect accord, each lending the other their silence. As night begins its slow descent, the thought of leaving seems distant, for the stillness here feels like a home without walls, a place where the heart can finally rest. A pale mist curls at the edges of the forest floor, wrapping each tree root in a gauzy veil. The air is cool, but carries the warmth of a day well lived, with scents of dry bark and sun-warmed stone lingering in the breeze. Above, the canopy sways in a slow, measured rhythm, letting through glimpses of a sky painted in the faint rose and lavender of approaching night. Your steps are slow, each one cushioned by the thick carpet of moss and pine needles, their softness quieting even the smallest sound. Through a tangle of birch and alder, you catch sight of the ruins. Walls no higher than a person's shoulder, their stones set in patterns that speak of hands long gone. A narrow doorway still stands, its arch delicately intact, framing a view of the forest beyond as though it were an intentional painting. Inside, nature has made its home without haste. Ivy trails across the stones like threads of green silk, while clusters of wild mushrooms gather in corners where shadows linger longest. The evening light spills into the open space, touching the edges of each stone with a soft, honeyed glow. Here, silence is not empty but full, filled with the memory of footsteps, the warmth of long-vanished hearths, the echo of voices now carried only in the rustle of leaves. You linger, letting your fingertips rest on the cool stone, the texture rough yet reassuring. As twilight deepens into the first breath of night, a lone star appears above the treetops, as if watching over this union of forest and ruin. You find yourself breathing slower, the quiet settling into you like a gentle weight, grounding you in a place beyond time.